which didn't reflect what I saw. I look at the line, the punchline, when the piano player, James Clifford, goes to confession, and there's that, the priest knows that the song it's by Percy Sledge. Yeah. It's a funny line, but none of those characters would have gone to confession. So I wouldn't have had it. I didn't write that particular scene. I just felt it was a punchline. And it was a good punchline because it is a funny line, but I just didn't think that character would go to confession. I didn't think any of those characters would be involved in religion to the extent that they'd go to confession.
Funny, because that particular scene they used an awful lot a lot of the promos.
Yeah, because it's a funny scene.
That was the clip that they...
But I felt it was a bit of an outsider's view of Ireland, And there was another bit, I feel a bit churlish saying the bits I didn't like, but because overwhelmingly I loved it, I was very proud of it, my involvement in it as well. But there was a bit, the moneylender. Jimmy gets money from a moneylender, which is a good idea, good plot idea. Then the moneylender comes looking for his money and he isn't getting it. And Micah Wallace headbutts him, and that's the last we see of him. If only.
Yeah.
Now, it would have been good, it really would have added a certain edge if they'd taken it just a step further, maybe, that the moneylender comes back and you could have something really, hair-raising perhaps, but it just seemed, no. But then again, it's only a tiny thing, and everything, a human endeavour, so it's never perfect. But they were the only little bits that I thought they kind of didn't ring true. The rest of it I thought was terrific. Really, I really liked it.
Yeah, one of the most important parts of that particular film is the music.
Yeah.
Is the soundtrack. And you must have been really pleased with the soundtrack and the selection of songs. So I know you're big into music.
Yes. I was, yeah, and it's an amazing, it's a fascinating thing really, because if you take the songs out of the novel, it's an even shorter book, significantly shorter, because deliberately there's loads of lyrics in there, and then there's bits of dialogue, and I changed the lyrics, which was great fun. But they serve a different purpose on paper than they do in the film. And I've recently been writing a script for a musical of the book. And the music plays a different purpose there altogether again, because the music has to propel the story a bit more than it does in the film. And actually, if and when the musical is made, Deco Cuff, the singer, will be looking at the audience, because there'll be an audience there. Whereas in the film, Andrew Strong doesn't make eye contact with the camera at all. It would be awful if he turned to the camera and started singing into the camera. It would be terrible. Yeah. The whole premise would fall apart, really. So the songs serve a different purpose. So in the novel, I like the way that the band make the songs Dublin songs, so to speak. Yeah. Night Train. But Night Train is a great song in the background. It was great to read, but actually it wouldn't have been a good idea in the film. So again, I wasn't involved in the selection of the songs for the film. I'm not sure. My visual memory of the script isn't good enough to recall what songs were there. And I remember Alan gave me a tape of it was a really incredible tape. I had it for years, where I think there must have been about 50 songs on this. Was it one of those 180-minute ones? And it was just brilliant song after brilliant song. And they had this kind of provisional permission for all these songs. So he was choosing from this big bucket of songs, So the songs were terrific. Yeah, they're great. They're timeless. They're they're absolutely timeless.
Yeah. And then you had Mr. Strong with such a strong voice.
Yeah.
I mean, he was just incredible, really.
Yeah, and he was he's extraordinary, an accidental discovery, really. Yeah, just amazing, really. He's only 16.
Yeah, but there was. It's hard to believe when you listen to him again. You listen to him tonight, you go, where is that voice coming from? He's only 16. He's incredible.
It's a little by my daughter called me in to watch X Factor last week, and there was this young fella who's already a household name because a bunch of girls from Mount Carmel School were yapping away about him there last week. Luke Lucas or something his name was, and sweet little young lad. And he said, you'd never guess for a minute he was going to deliver what he delivered. And he said he was going to sing, I can't remember the song by Michael Jackson. And he opened his mouth, and geez, the world stopped. It was incredible. And I wasn't there when Andrew opened his mouth, but it must have been some moment, really. I went to the auditions just once. Again, Alan asked me to come down, just out of courtesy. A very pleasant afternoon, and between songs we had a chat and a laugh. And I don't know how many young women came in and sang. There was a song in the charts at the time, Black Velvet. You know, I didn't like the song much before I went to the auditions. I fucking hated it by the end of it. But one of the people who sang was Angeline.
Right.
So I saw Angeline, you know, and she stood out. Like,
Yeah.
she was just great, you know, brilliant.
There was a fantastic chemistry between them all on screen, and it seemed to be off screen as well. Would it be right saying
Haven't
that?
a clue.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wasn't
Yeah.
there, you know, I wasn't
Right.
there. I have no idea.
What I mean is, after when the film was over, I mean, it was just sort of a roller coaster. Every day you'd be reading in the papers, the commitments are off to America. The whole team,
Yeah.
they seemed to gel very well, and
Well-
it came across very well on the screen as well.
Well, on the screen, yeah,
Yeah.
it's great. I mean, it's great. You know, it's because I've been involved in a lot of collaborative projects, and a lot of it is comedy. And people often say, "Oh, you must have had great fun making that," but actually, often, no, it was fucking awful. It was terrible. You know, and some of the scenes in the van, I remember, like they're hilarious. You know, the man, what's the actor, the nappy, the nappy in the,
Oh, yeah.
you know, it's a
The back-
nappy. I mean, it's great, and I remember watching. It was a one scene I'd love when my boys were very young. They're 20 and 18 now, but when they were very small, I kind of fast forwarded so they could see that scene, and the tears again and again and again. The tears were rolling down their eyes, you know, really rolling down their eyes. They just thought it was the funniest thing ever, and that was a miserable day. Like, it was a miserable, horrible, wet, damp day. There were all sorts of delays because of the light, you know, and. It wasn't a cheerful time at all, yet it's great, like, it's really very, very funny. But I wasn't around then, and they did this big promotional tour of the States, and I think they had a great time, but I've only kept in touch with one or two, you know, so one is a friend, and one or two others, you know, I know them, you know, if ever I meet them, I'm happy to meet them, but it's... I went to see them rehearsing when they reformed for the St. Patrick's Day or the St. Patrick's Day gig. So I went to see them rehearse. It was lovely to see them, and some of them I'd been seeing for the first time since the opening, the premiere night in Dublin. So I didn't really know them, but they seemed to have a great time over there.
Yeah.
But I wasn't involved. I wasn't part of the promotion at all. And in fact, just shows you the clout of the writer. I had a book out at the same time, The Van, and I went to do an interview. It was with Jerry Ryan actually. And went to do an interview about the van. And the first question he asked me was, what was my reaction to the world premiere of The Commitments the night before in Los Angeles? And I wasn't aware of it. Nobody had told me that there was a world premiere. So it was a my like deciding not to go to a party, but you're not even invited in the first place. It kind of takes the wind out of your sails. But I just, my first child had just been born, and life was a bit too hectic. I wouldn't have gone anyway. And but I wasn't around for all that.
Yeah.
Party stuff. I wasn't around for that, so I really don't know.
The when the Irish premiere came up, Paul and I were at that. I think we hired a limo, Paul, didn't we? He's gone. We even hired a limousine for it. The tickets were £5 Irish pounds for the premiere, and I'll never forget the night. The place was just jam packed. Film came up, and at the very end, the last part of the film was made in Ireland. Big white letters, and the place just went nuts. It went crazy.
Yeah.
It must have been a fantastic feeling to bring
very,
it home, you know, in your native town.
Very proud moment, really, you know. Yeah, it was great.
Is there like a distinction for yourself between the books and the movies?
Very much so,
And
yeah.
even now, you know, when you're writing something now, because so many of your books have been sort of, are you conscious of that ever when you're writing?
No.
You can make a clear distinction.
Oh yeah. I'd be an idiot if I did. If I started anticipating a film while writing a book, I'd be a complete and utter idiot, because actually the last book of mine to successfully go up on screen was The Van. And The Van came out 20 years ago. So if I was still writing books in the hope that they become films, abject failure is what you're looking at. No. They're different exercises, you know, and it's a bit like when The Van came out, I started doing readings, you know, as part of the promotion. You know, it used to be you do a reading a night in a different Waterstones. And I went to the UK for a week, and I read in Waterstones in London, Waterstones in Leeds, Waterstones in Edinburgh, Waterstones in Glasgow. It was great. A couple of hundred people would be there, and I read the World Cup, one of the World Cup scenes from The Van. It was brilliant. It was like a party. And I remember when I came home, I was working on a book, Paddy Clark, and I said to myself, this would make good reading, you know, at an event. And then I realised, no, that's not why I'm writing it. So I actually tore it up and started again. They're very different exercises, really are. And even though I write a lot of dialogue, there's this mistaken assumption that you just transfer the dialogue onto the script and then you're finished. You know, you could do it before lunch. But no, they're very, very different exercises. And I'd hate to allow one leak into the other, you know. No, it would be a bad, bad mistake.
Sorry, lady over there's a question. Hello? Yeah? No problem.
A big moment is here, yeah. No, you were just talking about the band there, you know, and I was just thinking about, you know, the Rabbit family. And like, they're actually, I love the Rabbit family. They're, you know, the characters, they're so rich and colourful. I'm just wondering then about, you know, in the film, Commitments and the Snapper and the band, were you happy with their representation?
Yeah.
Colin Meaney and the other
Oh, yeah.
actors? Did they represent them well for you?
Oh, yeah.
As you thought they would be?
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, I thought they were fantastic.
Yeah, the complication with the van, I mean, there was a little bit of a complication with the van. Colin Meaney as Jimmy Rabbit Sr. is just, you know, what can you say? Perfect. Perfect. Yeah, he was brilliant. And he's one of the actors, sometimes you get actors who ask you questions, you know, they want to know the character. And really, you know, when I'm finished the book, as far as the character's dead, I couldn't give a shite, really. And they'd ask me, why? I remember one of them asking me, because Bimbo in the van loves the Beach Boys. And somebody asked me, why does Bimbo like the Beach Boys? And all I could say was, because I like the Beach Boys. There was no deeper answer, but it made him that bit more three-dimensional, the fact that he was a fan of the Beach Boys. So that was as much an answer as I could give him, but he was bitterly disappointed. He wants some depth, you know, some depth. But if you listen to, you know, wouldn't it be nice?
And were they based on any family?
No,
or just
no,
completely
no,
new?
no, I
And
don't.
Jimmy Rabbit now, how did he, you know, did he feel you represent your, you know, was he a good representation of
The actor?
who you thought? No, yeah, the actor. Like,
Oh, yeah, he was great. He was brilliant. He was terrific, actually. Yeah, he was great. Robert Arkin. Yeah, he was great. He was brilliant. He was brilliant. You see, that was one of the great things, that these were people you'd never seen before.
I mean, he appears to be like, he seems to be like he wasn't actually acting. He's actually just walking in there and the book just came to life.
Well, yeah, because I don't think many of them. Brona, funnily enough, Brona, who's from Northern Ireland, had the most convincing Dublin accent of the lot, because she's an actor. Whereas I think and I think Maria has since become an actor, but she was a musician, and it was her first acting job, I think. So none of the others were. And Johnny Murphy, who played Joey the Lips, of course, was an actor with vast amount of experience. Johnny, no. So the others weren't actors, but they had that self-confidence, I suppose, you know, that they were able to do it. Or Dick Massey was brilliant, the way he delivered his lines, you know. And I don't know if he's been in anything since, but the way he delivered his lines were just fantastic. They all played their part, and they were all great. And I think one of the reasons why it worked is because we'd never seen them before. Whereas if it had been Emilio Estevez, good actor and all as he is, but if he was Jimmy Rabbit, or if Molly Ringwald was Imelda, no, sorry. If, yeah.
Well, I have to say, the one thing, I love Colin Meaney as an actor, but I think since then he's probably took down the role in Star Trek. It wasn't as good as your the Commitments.
No, but it paid his mortgage, I'd say, so that has to be taken into consideration, you know. And he had a very good he had a very good contract with the Star Trek. He got this block release, and he could make films. They always worried about him going to Ireland to make films, because when he came back, they had to let out his suit because he drank the Guinness. You know, it's not conducive to life in outer space.
Francis.
Just what you were saying, as a writer, when you finish the book, you put it away, you don't really care what the characters after that, you on to the next one. But when people read a book or watch a film, irrespective of the themes running through it, everybody takes something different from it.
Yeah.
So do you ever have people running up to you saying, "Oh, that meant so much to me because
Yeah.
I could understand where you were coming from like this," and you're thinking, "What?
No.
Was I?"
Well, now and again, people's.
The whole, let there be light.
I'm often surprised at how people react to something, but yeah,
But I think it's
If somebody says to me, you know, if I wrote a book 20 years ago and somebody reads it tonight and they talk to me about it as if it's new, I find that incredibly flattering.